Welcome back to another Sunday walk video. It's looking pretty green around here. At least where I'm walking. Not for markets. Although, I don't know, this coming week, we'll see. Maybe things turn around, maybe they don't. There's actually a lot of things happening this week. But of course, there's one major catalyst. And that could come any day, and that is, of course, some kind of major trade agreement, some kind of deal that gets worked out. I don't know, but the latest that came from Trump is that there's something brewing between the US and China. Don't know how real it is, how far it progressed, whether or not it's going to happen this week. But if it does, if there's any kind of deal that's made, markets will soar this week for sure, right? Obviously, it's a very tense situation right now. No one likes the tariffs being escalated the way they have. 245% tariffs on anything imported from China, 100 and something being imported into, 245% anything imported from China, 100 and I think 25% imported from the US into China. So I mean, this reciprocal stuff obviously not helpful, and then plus a lot of services, like I know Boeing is being affected. One of the airplanes they tried to deliver got turned back. Hong Kong stopped delivering mail to the US. So a lot of things are happening. So it's not a good situation all around. So hopefully this comes to an end soon, although, you know, it may not be this week. It may not be this week at all. So we'll see. But outside of this, what else is going on? There's actually a lot, quite a lot. We got a couple of Fed speakers that'll be talking. Actually, on Monday, there'll be one. Waller's talking on Monday. And then I think there'll be another one either on Wednesday or Friday. And the Fed book will be released on Friday as well. So we'll see. Obviously, Powell spoke last week. Trump did not like it. Trump is trying to figure out a way to fire Powell, which, you know, I don't know. He really has no authority to, but everyone does want Powell to cut the Fed fund rate right now. But Powell last week said, you know, he has to wait for more clarity from the tariffs. He has to choose whether or not to save inflation or save jobs. That's what he's dealing with right now. So how do all these other Fed governors feel? Well, we'll know this week. Right? They're probably going to say the same thing. They want some more clarity from the tariffs before they can make a decision, and it comes down to, you know, saving inflation or saving jobs. Right? Like right now, stock market kind of stabilized. So because of that, there's like less fear in the market, and because of it, like the percentage for the rate cut has gone down tremendously. So I don't know what they're going to say. I don't think anything different than Powell. I think it's going to be exactly the same, but we'll see. A couple of Fed speakers. Also, we're going to have a lot of earnings coming out this week that will kind of tell how the economy is, at least how they did last month or last quarter, but also more importantly, what they're forecasting. I think that's going to be important. So that'll tell a story. So it'll be basically like the Feds. It'll be like the Fed governors and Powell. They're going to come out and say, well, we expect the tariffs to do this or that or what. I expect they're probably going to come out and say, yeah, we expect things to slow down because of the tariffs and this and that. And that's probably not going to be good. So Tesla reports on Tuesday. Google reports on Tuesday. Several other tech companies, I think Intel reports, although they're not that important these days. But then you have like Boeing reporting, Pepsi reporting. So not just tech companies. I think like 35% of S&P 500 companies reports this week. So I think the earnings will also drive markets this week. Last quarter shouldn't be that bad, but well, I don't know, because all the tariff stuff, actually markets started coming down from January, right? So it shouldn't be that bad, but none of the tariffs actually went into place until a few weeks ago. So I think it's going to be the forecasting that's going to affect things. So we got Fed. We got a lot of Fed announcements. Okay. We got a lot of earnings. So a lot of things can move because of them. Probably, I'm going to say, not in a positive way. I don't see how the Feds are going to be super dovish and move markets upwards. I just don't see that. There's no way they're going to say anything differently than Powell. I don't see earnings being super good either, even though these companies may come in better than analyst expectations. Let's just say Google and Tesla blow away expectations for last quarter. There's no way they're going to forecast that their Q2 or Q3 or Q4 are going to be outstanding. There's no way they're going to say that. No company in their right mind would say that. They're probably going to say, we're not going to give guidance, or they're going to say, we expect our future quarters to come in weaker. And if they say or indicate like that, their stock will tank, regardless of how good they did last quarter. And I expect most companies will tank because of that, because I just don't see any companies saying let's go project that their future quarters are going to be outstanding. So I don't think these two things are going to help the markets. I think the only thing that could really drive things upwards this week is if Trump says something about, hey, there's like a trade deal that we negotiated with China. And it's not just with China too. The EU is supposed to negotiate something. In terms of, I read something with the automakers. Something, like all the American cars, all the non-American cars are tariffed like 25%, 20 to 25%. So the EU doesn't like that. So they're working on it. I don't know if they're going to slap reciprocal tariffs. Not that there's a lot of American cars in Europe. Like our big F-150s and trucks you just can't drive them in Europe. Those of you guys that have been in Europe, you know that those cities are just way too small. They're not built for big trucks anyways. But there are some smaller cars from America that are there. So there may be something there. So I'd say the only thing that could really drive things upwards is if there's more news about tariffs, maybe pausing, trade deals, stuff like that. There's one major thing that affects Bitcoin and crypto overall is this Friday is the last Friday of this month. Man, April flew by really, really quickly, seems like. So whenever it's the last month of the last Friday of every month, you have big options and futures expiration. So generally speaking, the week beforehand, you always have volatility. You have a lot of whales and market makers that drive prices up and down towards wherever that makes sense for them to either win or lose. I saw the max pain price for Bitcoin, it's around 82,000. So we're like hovering around 84 something, 85, which is really good, mid 80s. I hate to see us dive down to 82, but it could happen. I've seen it's a phenomenon that has happened before where we always hit that max pain price. That means both the longs and shorts, that's the worst pain, that you have the most people lose out with their options if you hit that point. And we have seen that before many times, but there's many times it doesn't happen either. But we have seen that time, we have seen times where that has happened. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that. We don't go back down to 82. Bitcoin has been pretty strong. We have been building up a little bit. Right now at 85, 84, 85, it's a really good spot to be. Not low 80s, mid 80s. And in this week, you know, we don't have a sell-off. Let's just say everything is like, not so good. And the stock market doesn't do well, but if Bitcoin continues to hold or creeps up even a little bit, 86, 87, if we end the week, let's say after the options and future expiration, Bitcoin bounces back to 87, that would be awesome. Yeah, that's really it. Anything else that's really driving or moving markets? No, not really. Bitcoin and crypto kind of hanging in there. Right now it's all macro stuff. There's really nothing else. You know, a lot of developments still happening in the space. A lot of chains, a lot of projects still pushing forward. Obviously, in my morning streams, I cover how, you know, XRP is doing this, Sol's doing this, Sui's doing this, AVAX is doing this, Adara is doing this, Cardano. I mean, you guys know. These projects are pushing forward. There's always new things coming on, being developed, right? Price action, not doing a whole lot because of the landscape. It is what it is, but things will keep on trucking forward. And most importantly, Bitcoin is holding strong. As long as Bitcoin holds strong, everything has a chance to come back. It's really that simple, right? And Bitcoin is proving how good and solid it is. There are many that don't believe that, but man, for Bitcoin to be holding where it is at 84, 85, despite everything and despite the sell-offs and all the FUD and everything, man, it's really good considering we're still above the high of 2021, obviously 69,000. We're above the high of last year, 73,000, and we're way above the last recession. Okay, the low of 2020. The low of 2022. The end of 2022. I think right at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, Bitcoin fell to 15,000, which many of you guys survived. Obviously, there were many multiples higher than that, but some of you guys survived the low of 2020 when we hit $3,800, $3,800. So just think about that, right? Bitcoin is magnitudes stronger than before. Every single cycle, it gets stronger and stronger because the base gets wider and there's more long-term holders, and this cycle is different because of all the big institutions and because like Sailor is going nuts and buying so much. And let's not forget, like, Larry Fink and BlackRock is trying to dominate. And yes, he's trying to dominate, and not for good reasons. You know, I bring up BlackRock a lot. It's not a good thing that BlackRock has so much Bitcoin. BlackRock hasn't really done good for anything that they've gone into. But short term, yeah, they have done a lot because they have accumulated so much. And Larry Fink became one of the biggest Bitcoin advocates out there, and same thing with BlackRock. But long term, not so good. But my point is, Bitcoin is solid. Still the best performing asset year to date. 1 year. Go back 1 year, 2 year, 3 year compared to S&P, NASDAQ, anything. So really can't complain. All right, guys, that's it. You know, got a lot of stuff this week. A lot of stuff that can move markets. So we'll have to see. I don't think anything was going to be horrible. I don't think anything's going to be horrible. The good news is nothing's really terribly that could be horrible, but the upside could be tremendous. So that's the best way to look at it. All right, I'm gonna finish this walk. Enjoy the weather. Smash it a like. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.